Chicago, Chicago. It's a city that's inviting, it's a city that's exciting, it's a city for a woman just like me. There's a lake they call Lake Michigan. I think I'm really fitting, and the city is my perfect cup of tea. If you haven't been to Chicago, what's wrong with you? Okay? If you're on a budget, I get it. But if you're not on a budget, you need to get over here. This is the best city that there is. This may be the most anticipated fight for many of you of 2025. Okay? Our main event, right? This is crazy. This is middleweight madness. The middleweight madness will continue after this, but this is the crux of it, right? This is the pinnacle. We've got a lot ahead of us here for UFC 319 in Chicago. Chicago. This little guy is actually from New Orleans, so I don't know what I'm doing there. Yes, we are in Chicago. This is gonna be so great. I got my Linkin Park jersey on, which you're like, what are you talking about? They're from Los Angeles. Well, they were in Chicago yesterday. Okay, so at the same Grand United Center where it's all going to go down. UFC 319. This is so crazy. Okay, let's give it a dynamic breakdown. Talk about all the fights, what everybody has been up to. Let's do it all. And as the infamous Mr. Burns once said, let's enjoy the Miami of Canada, Chicago. So the UFC was having a moment in Chicago for a long time, making it one of their yearly visits, yearly-ish for a while, and then the pandemic hit, all right? And we haven't been here since. That is actually really crazy to think about. It has been 6 years since the UFC has been in Chicago, so this is a pretty big moment. And if you haven't caught on by now, I am a Chicago resident, okay? So you're going to get some Chicago as we go through this PowerPoint. Let me know off of this portrait here, okay, of the many beautiful things of Chicago, just a handful, because Chicago is home to so many amazing people, amazing art, movies, etc. What is your favorite Chicago item, okay? Could it be the Twinkie? Did you know that was invented in Chicago? I don't know. Did you know? There's a lot more trivia coming your way. And our full agenda, because this is pretty important. We got middleweight madness. The middleweight belt is on the line. Okay, so that's the real madness here. That's why we got the infamous scene. Let me know if you know the scene that is depicted there in the corner. Let's know if you know. We have so many veterans on this card, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I think every single fight has a veteran, if not both. This is the card of veterans, you know, I guess up until the main event. Not to say that those guys aren't seasoned, but we got veterans. We got 2 undefeated records that are on the line. Pretty big deal. And it's all taking place at the United Center in Chicago. Woo woo. And hey, I gotta say, if you're gonna be there, I need you to hit up Ricketts, because the reality is it's a 30-minute walk. Okay, it's summertime, it's gonna be nice out, so that's nothing, but it's also a 7-minute drive if you're lazy, okay, or if you don't have the ability to walk that far. Yes, please visit this amazing chicken, fish, everything barbecue. This is some of the best food that I have ever had in my life, okay? And it's just around the corner. Please, if you are in Chicago to see the UFC, if you're lucky enough to have a ticket to this event, they're like $700 for the tickets at this point, please go to Ricketts. You gotta. All right, let's start with our prelims. We got some great matchups. The reality is we're probably not going to cover these fights in the order that they exactly appear, especially when it's the prelims. I mean, main card should be the right order, but, you know, it's all good. First up on our list is the lightweight bout between Edson Barboza and Drakkar Klose. This is going to be some violence. And for our first fun fact of the day, our first did you know that Chicago is the origin of deep dish pizza. I'm sure you did know this, but if you haven't tried it, it's worth a try. I gotta be honest, it's not my favorite kind of pizza, but it's definitely special. Edson Barboza, let's go veteran, right? Let's go first veteran of the night, am I right? Yes. BJJ Foundation, but it primarily serves as his defense. I would say Edson Barboza's reputation, as we're aware, is more so in the really deadly striking. I mean, the kicks are devastating. He could snap a tree in half with his legs, and right now he's coming off of a loss to Lerone Murphy, who we're going to be seeing later, and he has just been on absolute tear. Edson Barboza, what a incredible fighter. 13 performance bonuses. I mean, he is a legend. Like, he has been just every fight that he's in, it does not matter win or lose. That's the thing about Edson Barboza. Win or lose, not relevant, because the fight is going to be very, very magical either way, because that's what he does. That's what he does for us. And that's why it's pretty important to really dive into the tapes and really watch these fights, because when you see a record like 18-12, you could think to yourself, oh, dicey, but I'm thinking dangerous. 50% of his wins are via knockout. He's absolutely scary in there. And, you know, he's a big football fan, okay? He's big into the soccer, big into the football. See that all over his Instagram. And he'll be going against Drakkar Klose, you know, a veteran in his own right. Hello? Right? What's with this? He is coming from a wrestling foundation, and he was a wrestler in college, so went with it for a pretty long time, has been in the UFC since 2017. Nothing is happening in subland for Drakkar. It's just like not a win or a loss, but we do have a little slam KO moment, okay? It's not a quite, I mean, it's adjacent, okay? It's adjacent. He just wants to stay on the feet. And those are actually his words. Like, he'll say it plain and simple. Like, he wants to be on the feet. He's really using his jab very effectively to close that distance, as you do. And 60% of his wins are via decision. So he is very, very good at getting in there and being ahead in the striking. And we love to see that. Okay? Coming off of a TKO loss to Joel Alvarez, that was a nasty one. That was a yucky knee, if I recall. But before that, he was on a 4-fight win streak. So, you know Drakkar, he can get it done with violence, but he'll take you to a grueling decision as well. And he loves his dog. He's got a very big dog. I don't think this is the first fight of the night. Whatever, we'll go in whatever order we like. But this is a great close to start. These lightweights they're guarantees, okay? This is guaranteed win, a guaranteed success in all regards. I feel like we're just going to love this one. It's going to be so violent, so clicky clacky, you know, probably not going to be a lot on the ground in this one, and I don't think the finish is going to happen, just because both guys are super, like, durable, and they're pretty smart about it. I think both of them are ready to go for a really gritty fight, but they keep it classy there. Alright, next up, at least on our list, okay, remember, our list is different from the real list. That's dynamic instability for you. King Green versus Diego Ferreira. And for our Chicago fact on this slide, as you see in the corner, there is a Chicago hot dog. What does that mean? Well, let's keep it short. Let's keep it skinny. In Chicago, you get judged if you put ketchup on a hot dog. But why is that? Well, it all comes from this old rumor that started during the Depression that said that vendors who sold ketchup only sold it so that they could mask the poor quality or the yuckiness of their meat. And any vendor that had good meat would never have ketchup because they don't need anything to mask their quality meats. And it still kind of applies today in many ways, and it applies in the sense that if you order a Chicago dog in Chicago, you're not going to get it with ketchup, okay? So, King Green, okay, Strikeforce, RIP, right? RIP Strikeforce. Okay, former King of the Cage champion. He's been in the UFC for a long time. We got more veterans. Okay, the veteran situation is not, it's all night. We're going all night with this. He's been a pro since 2008, right? I was barely of thought. Okay, I was of thought, but, you know, I wasn't of sound mind. Okay, he's coming off of a absolutely crazy head kick TKO loss to Mauricio Rufy. Okay, it was something. But, you know, King Green, he's a gamer. He's a gamer. That's why he has 7 performance bonuses. Pretty split between performance of the night and fight of the night. And he has the most significant strikes in the UFC lightweight division's history to solidify his veteran status, but also very demonstrative of King Green's style. He is like 4th in his significant strikes in the entire UFC. That is crazy. He's been here a very long time, has been very, very effective. His fights, they're always fun. They're always crazy. There's just so much drama happening in there. He's such an active striker, you know, right? Hence, significant strikes, but he's got great submission skills, i.e. he knows business. That's the thing about King Green, is he knows how to stand on business, and he definitely lands a lot more than he absorbs. So he's willing, like, he doesn't have to take that much damage to get in there, and we love to see that. He has a very sharp takedown defense as well. Like his ability to stop takedowns, he's got the sprawl. Okay, he's got the sprawl absolutely unlocked, and he's essentially seen it all. That's the thing about King Green, is he's seen everything in that octagon and in life, honestly. And he's going against Diego Ferreira, who is like, oh, you guessed it, he's a veteran. That's correct. You guessed it correctly. It's true. So Diego Ferreira, 40 years of age. He's been in the UFC since 2014, a long time as well. Currently coming off a decision loss to Grant Dawson. He knows how to grind, right? He knows how to grind it out. He's got a very strong BJJ foundation, and sometimes he just throws it out the window. Says, I don't care for it. We're gonna strike it out. It depends, because the emotions can get to him. Okay, Diego will go oftentimes where his emotions lead him, but he's got that complete MMA arsenal, so he's got stuff to back it with. The wins are evenly split. Knockouts can come at any moment with this guy. At any moment, any second. Definitely leads with the boxing, not the kicks, usually. And he's never been sub, so that BJJ foundation has been serving him well. His losses are half, then split. They actually are split halfway, 3-3, between knockouts and decisions. And when you look into the people who Diego Ferreira has fight, okay, the lightweight baddies that this man has confronted, it is absolutely insane. He has fought so many greats. So it has not been a cute little walk in the park for Diego Ferreira. He's fought so many talented people. I mean, it's thick division. You know how it is. He's got really great hair. This guy's got a head of hair. Let me tell you, those curls are popping. They are popping. He's a big gamer, and he really likes motorcycles. This one is going to be full of surprises. Fun moments. We know King Green. He's a cork fast, and I think Diego was just going to take Bobby wherever he wants to go, because he's more of a responsive guy in the octagon, as opposed to trying to cement his own game plan. So might be Bobby leading the dance, or King Green, excuse me. It's gonna be a great one though. Next up on our dynamic list is Gerald Meerschaert III. Okay, going against Michael Oleksiejczuk. Oh no, so sorry, Michael. Oleksiejczuk. That was close. And for our Chicago fact on this slide, Chicago, you may have heard, is called the Windy City, but it's not called the Windy City because of any sort of actual wind. It's because of our politicians. Yes. So basically it's the verbose, the boastful, and the rumors that travel fast. It's should be called Gossip City, really. So that's where the Windy City comes from. So, Mr. Meerschaert III, GM3, he's been in the UFC for, oh, you guessed it, veteran status. Okay, we got more veterans, let's go. Right? Are most people fighting on this card over the age of 35? I think so. That's awesome. He's coming off a decision loss right now to Brad Tavares. He feels like he could have done more in there. He feels like he wasn't gassed out by the end of the fight. He didn't do as much as he wanted to. I kind of felt that way watching that fight as well. Thing about Gerald is he has it all. Okay, he's got a BJJ black belt, but he's got a black belt in kickboxing. So that kind of leads to his freestyle style that's also in your face. That's how I would describe Gerald. Freestyle and in your face. And he's a bit of a goofball, right? He's got a signature mustache. And I don't think he's much of a goofball in the octagon, though. He's quirky. Not exactly a goofball, though. He's pretty locked in. Really, really wants to close the space because he's a submitterton. 80% of his wins are coming via submission. He's pretty open about how that is his game plan. He's going to want to go to the ground. That's just where he feels at home. That's where he feels safe. He likes kind of tricking you into getting submitted on the sneak. He's pretty good at that, right? Making you kind of put yourself into a bad position. But 50% of the losses are also subby as well. And that's the quirky aspect of Gerald Meerschaert, right? Is its risk and its reward. We're getting it both. And he can come back from the dead. We definitely see Gerald take a lot of damage and, one, not get discouraged, and then, two, be able to find a second win. That's pretty great. And, he used to be at Killcliff for a while, but he left. And that, I think, is not a super new development. I think he's the last fight he was also had moved back for that as well. So he's from Milwaukee. Woo woo. That's just around the corner from Chicago, right? It's only an hour and a half away. So he's, closer to home, and he's been working with some different people, working with Bilal, a little, reunion of the Midwest. And ultimately, he's a homebody. If there's something about Gerald you gotta know, is he's not much of a partier. Michael Oleksiejczuk, he is a horse guy. Okay, that's pretty much what Hussar is. It's like a horse. Well, it's like a warrior on a horse kind of situation. He loves horses. He's not the only horse guy of the night. That should have been an agenda item, but I was kind of torn. It wasn't enough to make it an agenda item. Now I'm thinking yes. He is a horse guy for sure. He's really into mushrooms too. I don't think the psychedelic kind, just like growing and foraging in general. It's like that adorable picture of him with his little lute there, looking so cute. He's been with the Fighting Nerds recently. So, after getting, after having a bit of a moment against Kyle Barrio, right? Get a little beat down on him. He's like, maybe I want to train with you guys. I love that. That's really cool. So he's one of the Fighting Nerds that you might not know is a fighting nerd, right? He's not from Brazil. He's not from their area. Michael's great. He is so fun to watch. It's knockouts all over. Like, that's his world. 75% of his wins, which at this point, that's 15. And that's 12 that are in round 1. Hello, Michael. He's coming in with the heat. Recently coming off of a win against Cedric Dumas. And, I don't feel like Dumas really put a lot of heat and pressure on Michael. So the lack of pressure that Dumas kind of put on, it made it Michael's fight, because he really likes to just run on at you. And that broke his 3-fight losing streak, so he was, I think, just especially motivated in that moment. He got it done, so we're trying to keep that momentum going, right? Because those 3 fights, man, we don't love that. But the thing is 67% of those losses are sub. Ruh-roh. And when you see Michael entering into the space, you can see that his left hand is preferred. Whether it's going to be hooks, jabs, left hand that's where he likes to get it going, okay? As he's charging it. And like we said, newly with the Fighting Nerds. This is a pretty classic difference in style matchup, right? We have Michael, who is almost exclusively getting his wins via knockout. And then we have Gerald, who is almost exclusively getting his wins via sub. And then, more interestingly, Michael also, a lot of his losses are coming from submission. So I think it's easy to think like maybe Gerald has the advantage, but right, we're never gonna know. Both guys have definitely been studying the tape on each other. They're that type they like to prepare in that way. So I think they're gonna have a lot of unique things to respond to each other with, since they have both been really doing their homework. And this is good. Yeah, it's going to be a clash of styles. We're going to see Gerald trying to close that distance, and we'll see Michael trying to close the distance, but in a different way, right? Get in there and punch you up real close, and Gerald's going to come in for the hug. Let me get a hug on you, right? He's going to want to get a hug on you. Next up on our list, we have Jessica Andrade versus Lupita Godinez. This is a women's strawweight to lock in on. And for our fun fact on this slide, Chicago, if you don't know, is known as the United States Railroad capital. It's because we got it on lock with those trains. Let me tell you, our train systems are robust, and there are more major railroads serving this city than any other place in America. Jessica Andrade, we stand by Jessica Andrade, don't we? Okay, pile driver, bate estaca, that's what that means. She's pile driver, and she be pile driving. Okay? The Rose Namajunas slam was not the only time that she has implemented that strategy. And we got another veteran. She may only be 33 years old, but don't let that fool you. She has been in here a long time. I think she made her UFC debut, do the math there. She was a youngster, okay? 17-12. Every fight that she in is an absolute banger. She made it all the way to be a champion in the strawweight division. Totally one of the pioneers of the strawweights, of other women in the UFC. Right now is coming off of a rear naked choke loss to Jasmine Jasdavicius, who we know is a subby. We know that she's a bit of a subster and that Jasmine is on one major tear. So now we're on a bit of a 2-fight losing skid, but it's about to turn around perhaps. BJJ black belt, but definitely focusing on that power and heavy hands when the option is there. So, Jessica Andrade will definitely mix in some meaningful takedowns and can get the submission. But I think in her heart of hearts, she prefers to stand. She's a finisher in every way, but I think she prefers to stand. Wins are very evenly split. She's got that complete arsenal. She's constantly evolving her game. I feel like she's getting better all the time. And when she's feeling free, she is doing modeling. Okay, she's playing the football. She's been out and about. She loves traveling to new cities, and so I'm sure she's really excited to be in Chicago right now. I bet she's one of the fighters who's really taking advantage of the opportunity to be in a global city and just seeing all the cool food and stuff like that. I know she is touring right now, and we love that for her. She's just such great vibes, and she is so strong. That is Jessica's defining characteristic, is when she walks forward and lays down those hands, it's some scary business. And she's going against Lupi Godinez. Lupi, okay, number 9, right? We're pretty close here. We're fighting for a spot in that top 10. Lupi, I feel like, has a very compatible style with Jessica Andrade because she also really likes to walk forward. She is coming forward. She's currently coming off of a win over Julia Pilastri, just outdoing, outstriking, making it her fight. She was an LFA champ, and she's really the definition of a gamer. Okay, the thing about Lupita is that she has the fastest turnaround in modern UFC history. 7 days between 2 fights in 2023. So, I mean, when it comes to somebody who is willing to work as hard as you need to work, she fits that characteristic. Like, hard work, grit, and determination are just her defining qualities. And she is the first and only woman, as of now, to have fought 4 times in a calendar year. I know that we're close to matching that, but pioneer, okay? Pioneer, and that's just who she is. And it's kind of represented, I think, a little bit in the fact that none of her fights go to the knockout world, okay? There's nothing on either side, right? So Lupita is getting these wins, and she's winning in such a dominant fashion based on this volume and this, I feel like, combined with this intense durability. And she really believes in herself, and I would say she takes risks, but that high guard, right, that boxing style, that Muay Thai style, that keeps her protected. Like, those hands are up, and I think it really speaks to her athleticism that she's able to maintain her composure throughout the entire fight. Like, she really is. She maintains a incredible composure the entire way. Yes, and she's a level changer. Again, another compatibility thing with Jessica Andrade is they both got that skill to roll. And Lupita definitely doesn't prefer to be there, but you can see that she mixes in those takedowns just as that smart. That's the MMA IQ right there. Like, it's volume, throw in a takedown, get some control. Volume, throw in the takedown. And her takedown defense is incredible. So a lot of people who are used to getting their wins via submission, they have a really hard time with Lupita. And hey, if you didn't know, Matilda is her favorite movie. This is going to be a very, very exciting fight. I feel like it's just guaranteed to be violence. I don't suspect that either of these women are going to be waiting on their back foot. That's just not their style. This is going to be, I feel like, just such an aggressive clash. And I'm really excited about how they do their thing. Like, I feel like they have a similar style in my mind of just, they're very, very aggressive, they're very, very athletic, and mixing in the takedowns, like, I think it's just going to make for a really exciting fight with a lot of really interesting level changes. Next fight on our list, which I'm pretty sure is an early prelim, so we are really going all over the place right now, is a middleweight fight between Nursultan Ruziboev and Brian Battle. And keep it along the lines of the trains with our fun fact is we have 5 miles of secret underground pedestrian walkway systems. Yeah, you heard me. You can walk 5 miles underneath this beautiful city. Spooky. I wouldn't say it's exactly secret, but yeah, again, we're living like ants over here. Nursultan Ruziboev, he is coming off of a decision win right now. He's Uzbekistan / Philly. We love that. That's a fun combo, right? He's definitely living in the world of finish. Mostly a subist, and if you dig into that a little bit, Kimuras are on his mind. He's got a crazy record for someone who's only 31. Like, that's a lot of fights. Does he sleep, And, okay, evidence to this, right? Like, why does he have so many fights? Well, he's a short notice gamer. Okay, well, if you call him day of and ask him, are you available? He's going to say, Danny Gay, that's me. He's going to come right in. He's a little bit big, but at the same time has fought even smaller. What's with that? He is large man, knows how to cut. Super, super tall. He shined so big in his knockout win in Seattle and is trying to keep that momentum going, getting maybe a third win, and definitely with the Kimuras on the mind. Mostly a subist, but he'll do it all. And he's going against Brian Battle, who is a bit of a subist himself. He's drama. I mean, his wins are evenly split, but I think the sub is preferred. And when you see the way his fights go, there's a lot of action on the ground. There's a lot happening on the ground for him. He's looking very aggressive in there. It's going to be great. He's never been knocked out, so showing a lot of durability in his handful of fights. Coming off a decision win right now, but there was a massive weight miss. There was a massive weight miss, and he was a little sassaroo. He was a little sassy about it, so Brian... You know, he's on a 4-fight win streak right now, and he is in a constant state of self-expression. That's how he would describe himself, and that's what it feels like when he's rolling in these fights. It's like he's just finding ways. He's finding ways, and I like how he puts the violence on the ground. He's always making sure to make the ground and pound a really big part of his ground control. This one is going to be pretty fun. Both guys, I feel like, still on their way to making a case for themselves, especially in a thick division like middleweight. So thick, how are we gonna wade through these waters? And I expect there to be definitely ground moments in this one. And then we have Battle of the Disney Princes, Alexander Hernandez versus Chase Hooper. Am I right? And our fun fact for this slide is that Chicago, first recorded, the name Chicago was first documented in 1688, where it appears as Chicago, which is Algonquian, because Algonquian, those are the native, the indigenous people of this area, and it actually means onion field, because Chicago used to be a swamp, and they drained this whole baby, and there used to be onions everywhere. Stinky little onion field. Alexander Hernandez, the great ape, right, coming off a decision win over Kurt Holybow, and that is an interesting fight, because basically you can see Kurt is just wanting to get dirty, wanting to get gritty, wanting to get nasty. And Alexander Hernandez wants to keep it clean. He wants to keep it clean. And he did that in that fight. He made it his fight, controlled him with the wrestling when he needed to. He said, Kurt, I am not going to give you the space to make this one bloody. And, he's had a very interesting career thus far. A very interesting career in the UFC. He came in, he had the slash debut of the year against Beneil Dariush, landed a KO in 2018. It was crazy. We were like, I feel like everybody, we were so high on this guy because we're like, how did he do that? How did he do that to Dariush in his debut? He looks like a nice man. He's actually kind of mean. Well, he can be. He can be kind of mean. And when he's on, he's on. That's the thing about Alexander Hernandez is when he's on, he's on. When he's off, though, he's pretty off. It's been a little up and down. Definitely had a humbling moment with Donald Cerrone. That's where the talking trash can kind of bite you in the bum sometimes. It bit him in the bum. He used to be at Factory X, and that's where he had made a really big home for himself, but has most recently been just partnering up with Brandon Royval. And then there they are in the corner there being weirdos. Respect. And they're the team. He's got a master's or a bachelor's in business finance. So fighting, he didn't have to do it. He wants to do it. Performance of the night ×2. We got a fight of the night in there. He's going to look to keep this fight as clean as he possibly can. He's going against Chase Hooper, rival Disney Princes, the Dream, Sueño, maybe. Dana White's Contender Series. He's been doing really well in the UFC, but this is his first fight in a little bit that isn't someone who's an old man. So that's interesting. He was over it. After he beat Jim Miller, he was like, I don't want to fight another old guy. Give me one of the young up-and-comers. I wouldn't say that Alexander Hernandez is up and coming. He's been here a little bit, but it's a better match. They're closer in age. He's on a 5-fight win streak. Chase Hooper, what he does is he really hunts your head. It's going for the head, and then mixes in the takedown to go for the submission ultimately. 50% of his wins that way. And when you do get on the ground, it's his time. Like, he just looks so in control in there. He looks like the boss when he's on the ground. He's very funny. He's always memeing. He's just this funny, silly guy. He's also really into sports psychology. That's a big part of, how he's thinking about all this. He loves birria tacos. That's my favorite taco. So, yes. And he's pretty into baking bread. And he says he's not, like, a big baker, but when you actually hear him talk, you're like, I think you are. I think you are a big baker, sir. I think you know a lot more than what you say. And he's also still new to being a dad. His little baby is less than a year old. This is definitely going to be a weird one. This is a weird one because I think that Chase is down for a dirty fight, a gritty matchup. We know Alexander is not. That is not his. That's not where he feels, light and love and happiness. And I think Chase is overall, though, he is pretty clean. He is a pretty clean, fighting for the going, pretty strategic with his strikes. He's not chaotic in there. It really seizing the opportunity to get on the ground. Alex is pretty good on the ground with his very thick wrestling background. So I'm very curious. I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is what happens on the ground. I'm not sure if it'll go there, of course, but if it does, I'm pretty curious to see what happens because Chase looks so offensive in those moments when he's on the ground. I wonder if he will look that offensive against Mr. Hernandez. And I think that leads us to our main card of, the order is not ordering, but that's okay. First fight on the main card. This might be your most anticipated fight. I mean, I would accept that answer because this one is going to be scary. And our fun fact for Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates in this welterweight craziness is, I don't know if you're aware, but the flow of the Chicago River was reversed back in the day. It used to go to Lake Michigan, and now they rerouted it completely so that it goes into the Mississippi, and we dye it green every year on St. Patrick's Day. Kind of weird. Jeff Neal, Jeff. Geoff. Jeff. Hands of steel. He really is. Hey, happy early birthday. It's just around the corner. It's at the end of the month, so kind of gotta pull from him in that sense. Little birthday celebration. He's a southpaw, so he can make it awkward for some people in there. And he's been in the UFC since 2018. He's like one of the first Dana White's Contender Series dudes. And, he's coming off of a TKO win over RDA. And that was a baddie performance right there. He was supposed to fight Prates back in 314, and they scrapped it. I don't know why they scrapped it. Not sure about that, but here it is. They moved it around. And this is going to be crazy. So, the thing about Jeff, he's a knockout man. 63% of his wins and but one loss. And he's locked in. Jeff is locked in on the finish. It's kind of akin to how a shark smells just but a drop of blood in the ocean. I don't know if that's actually true. But that is Jeff Neal. That is what he's like in there. It feels like how did you know? But he knows. He knows. I would say that the Shavkat fight, that's some necessary film. You can really see Jeff get in some deep, nasty waters. And again, even if Jeff doesn't come out on top, he puts on a frightening performance. And he has had a lot of adversity in the recent years. Sepsis almost took his life. He is a warrior. Looks like he's back in good health. Okay, he's doing well. But just less than 2 years ago, he was essentially on his deathbed. Okay, we really gotta... Some scary stuff, like with Ben Askren, you never know. Like, really healthy people, right, are professional athletes. They can still get sick. So that's really scary. But glad he's doing okay now. He's from Texas, just like Megan Thee Stallion. Love her. So he's a Southern Belle. And his wife has a lot of MMA experience of her own. And so they're kind of like besties, and they really understand each other. He's going against Carlos Prates, the Nightmare. He is. We have the Dream and the Nightmare on this card. That's really fun. Okay, he's a southpaw too. Wait a minute. Remember that one fight card? I think it was UFC Seattle where it was like 6 fights that were, it was either that they were like 2 southpaws or it was like people of opposite stances. It was weird. Anyway, yes, he's a southpaw, so we got 2 southpaws. So they should even each other out in that sense. Not gonna be an awkward look, but they have a lot in common. Okay, they might have a different kind of way that they stand and approach, to get the knockouts, but they're knockout dudes. They are knockout dudes. Carlos is bang bang, right? He's actually, fun fact about me, he was tied for my fighter of the year for 2024 because of his 4 performance of the nights in a row. Okay, 2 of them being left hooks. I'm in, right? Like, I'm so in. But he had a bit of adversity facing Machado Gary, but it's Ian Machado Gary who, you know how it is, okay? Ian Gary, he's a crafty little son of a gun. He is a crafty little son of a gun. So, couldn't get past him It ended his undefeated streak in the UFC, and they're not giving, and they're not giving him an easy one to come out from after that. They're like, hey, let's throw you to the wolves again. But it's going to be great. And the thing about Carlos is he, used to smoke cigarettes. Actually, I think he still smokes cigarettes. But MMA just helped him get his life straight. So that's how he found martial arts. And he's a Muay Thai guy, which is why it's tatted across his chest. But he has got BJJ black belt as well. But the Muay Thai, he's got 100 plus fights. Oh my goodness. Both of these guys are just such violent strikers. I feel like we're like, someone's going to get knocked out here. What we do know is it's going to be violence. It's going to be violence. It's going to be some heavy moments. It's going to be some sniffing for the finish. We got to have eyes locked in. This might be the fight of the night. Okay, it could be. Could be, but there's a lot of really good fights on this card, so it's going to be tough competition, tough comp. Then we have another potential fight of the night, but what we know this is going to be is the quirkiest fight. This is going to be the weirdest fight that we've got. Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. This is at middleweight, okay? So, Michael Venom Page is a little here, there, up, down, and around, and same thing with Jared. And our fun fact is pictured back here is Wrigley Field, which is the second oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball here in the United States. That is here in Chicago. It's actually one of the last neighborhood ballparks, so it's surrounded by all these residential areas. It makes it a really fun time to go see a baseball game here in Wrigley. Jared Killer Gorilla! I like to call him Chameleon Cannonier because he's existed in many forms. Need we not forget, he was once a heavyweight. All the way. It competed. Jared, seriously, he has had such an incredible career. He has fought everybody. Seriously, who has he not fought? He's been in the UFC since 2015, and it's exclusively the greats that he has run into. Exclusively, it seems. And he's coming off of an incredible, very spry performance against RoboCop in the McKinney Kong Showdown. If you don't know what I mean by that, don't worry about it. He is not had it easy though, okay? Jared Cannonier has had to overcome a lot of adversity. MCL, broken arm, etc. And here he is. And I was a little worried about him for the last performance simply because leading up to it, he seemed a little off. But he did not look off. He made RoboCop. He busted him up. Made him not want to be in there anymore. And it was an incredible performance against somebody who was much his junior. And, another veteran. And that's because Jared Cannonier has an MMA IQ of 1,000. I know that IQ doesn't go to 1,000, but IQ isn't real. Okay. That's another discussion. If there was a metric for MMA IQ, Jared Cannonier would, he'd be maxed out. He'd be maxed out on it. He's a really good coach as well. You'll see Jared Cannonier in a lot of people's corners, other people who are at MMA Lab, because he's really got a brilliant, beautiful mind for the game. He understands it in a really deep way, and he's just been there. Again, exclusively has fought the greats. It's wild. And that means that his main event experience is so heavy. I know obviously this isn't a 5-round fight, but the cardio and he's been there. Okay, he knows how to go where he needs to go, essentially. Relentless. Who has he not fought? Michael Venom Page, Bellator star, right? 17-2. I mean, he was killing it over there, and he's a 10-time world kickboxing champion. This guy, right? And he's been in the UFC for just a second, and he's been having quite the moment, okay? With that side stance, that wide, far away. I'm always doing a Michael Page impression because it's like this. It's so much fun. He's so much fun. He darts in and causes the pain, okay? He's an oddball. Hands are at the waist, right? It's like karate style, but somehow he survives. He survives in there with that crazy cuckoo style. He's so hard to pin down. Super high striking accuracy, 65%. And there's really nobody like him. Getting in his space is nearly impossible. And just like his opponent, Jared Cannonier, he's existed in many forms. This fight is so exciting because Michael Page is one of the most difficult people to figure out. absolutely impossible. What do you do? Like, how do you figure this man out? It's so hard. And then on the flip side, Cannonier is one of the smartest, deepest MMA IQ. One of the, I'd say, the guys who's the best at doing just that, at understanding his opponent in a really deep way. So that's what makes this so cool. It's like Cannonier is like supercomputer. He'll be investigating. He'll be like, okay, Michael, I see that you're doing this, that you're doing that, you're doing that. And Michael is just going to be a sneaky little, crafty little, So I think it's going to be so much fun in that sense, not just because it's going to be so weird, like stylistically, like what is going on, because that's just how it is in any Michael Page fight, but I just think that as a combo, hard to figure out, and then super good at figuring people out. That, lock in. Next on our list is Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura, and our fun fact of Chicago for this slide is that Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago is one of the oldest zoos in the country, but it's also one of the few remaining free zoos in the U.S. So you can go for free. If you're in Chicago, go to the Lincoln Park Zoo. Tim Elliott, oh Timmy, right? Tough 24 winner. But in his words, UFC fired UFC again. We know that that's how it goes sometimes. It is brutal out there. You take a couple losses and they cut you like scissors. His experience, though, is amazing. He's got incredible experience, and he is awkward as hell. Again, his words, okay? Tim is going to be getting creative in there. Crazy stuff is coming. The question to ask when you're watching Tim Elliott is he pure offense? Does he know defense, or is he just pure offense? He's coming off of an arm triangle win, and that was a long time ago. So where have we been is the question. Like, what have we been up to stay spry? But cute that there's 2 arm triangles in a row. We love that. But it's a little mystery here with Tim. It's a little bit of a mystery. His life has been a lot of drama. He did have a grappling match recently. Okay, so he's been doing things. But it's drama. If you know anything about Tim Elliott, we don't have to dive into the details, because it's kind of, I don't think he likes to rehash it again and again, but his life has been drama. Okay, it's been drama, and that has actually affected the UFC, the MMA projection, okay, for Timmy. He's going against Kai Asakura, number 15, after getting absolutely thrown to the wolves. We love doing that, right? We love picking people from neighboring promotions and saying, hey, you want to fight one of the pound-for-pound bests that there is in history? Probably. Why not, right? Get in there. Get in there, you young buck. Go on. Fight him. Pantoja. Didn't go as well. Did not go his way. Thrown to the wolves, thrown into the flames, was handed his only sub-loss. But it's Pantoja, he likes to choke people. Yeah. The thing about Kai is that his journey to MMA started in a street fight. I feel like that's just something people say. It's actually true. We got video evidence. They just throw him and they're like, so he's used to that in a way. He's used to being thrown to the wolves. And he's a very knockout type guy. 62% of his wins / 60% of his losses. It's because there's a lot of hands down at the waist. There's a lot of just crazy blitzing. The favorite combo, 3-4, 3-4, right? Throwing a knee. Yeah, he's going to give you a lot of that. Gonna give you a lot of that. He is so aggressive. Flying knees incoming. And he's fashionable. So, but we got some crazy style. This could also be one of the quirkier fights of the night. It's definitely going to be one of the quirkiest, but I'm saying it could be the quirkiest because these guys are wild. These guys are wild. Both of them are operating on pure offense. Well, Tim even more so. But they're both so aggressive. So aggressive. I expect to see a lot of weird stuff. We might even get a clash of heads. Just because of how out of the gate, I feel like this is going to be out of the gate. This one's going to be just boom. It's going to be some flyweight flash on this one for sure. That leads us to the main event. We have Lerone Murphy going against Aaron Pico. This featherweight is going to be wild. And for our fun fact, the atomic age, if you didn't know, began in 1942 when the atom was split for the very first time. And that all took place under the football stands of the Stag Field in the University of Chicago, some students, some college kids, split some atom. And Henry Moore's nuclear energy sculpture marks that exact spot. Lerone Murphy is number 6 after it's been a long road, right? The miracle, because he almost died. That's why he's called that. So, dig into that. He was an FCC champ, had a great run, been in the UFC since 2019, and has remained undefeated, unscratched, minus a draw. Right now he's coming off of a decision win against Josh Emmett. He looked fabulous. He looked incredible. He made Josh look slow in there. He is a striker through and through on a 20-fight win streak. I mean, what is going right? Yes, hello. Right. Not a subber, nay a win nor a loss. So when we say striker through and through, we mean it. Like, he has the defensive ability to keep this baby on the feet. The thing about Lerone Murphy is he often gets taken down. Sure, he gets taken down. Oh, sure. But he's going to pop right back up. He's going to pop back up in seconds. He is so underestimated. I am frustrated by it at this point. Okay, are we done? Right? Are we done underestimating him? Do we understand Lerone Murphy is so legit? I think we do. He has been walking through fire. Okay, similar to, well, not like Kai Asakura, who they literally just tossed into the flames, right? They're like, here, go. Yeah. But he's been walking through fire himself. Definitely never had an easy fight. Not giving him easy matchups at all, by any means. And he does not have an ego. At all. He does not have an ego. Even despite, I feel like, just looking so incredible out there. Just like, and he's killing it. He is killing it. He does not wear that on him. He's a very humble guy. He's a very, very humble guy. And what I really like about Lerone Murphy is that he is one of the people who really makes a game plan that is catered specifically to whoever he's fighting. Which I really like to see that, because I feel like there's just so much learning opportunity that we have as viewers to, all of that stuff. Like, I just love to see that. I love to see that. He's studying up for some specific Aaron Pico tricks to pull on him, right? And he has made a vow to get the finish. He is going to get the finish, he says, against Aaron Pico, another Bellator star who we're plucking and throwing to the wolves, saying, hey, you ever heard of one of the baddest featherweights that we got going on right now, Aaron? Get on in there, because if you know Aaron, he's got a pretty illustrious reputation. 12-4 in Bellator for his now coming to his UFC debut, and he's a star. He was wrestling before he could even form a sentence. Okay, he was on the mats when he was 4 years old. He was supposed to fight Movsar, and that fight was going to happen in July, but they canceled it completely. They said, and Aaron hinted that Movsar had a good reason. So that means Movsar probably either has another fight or is dealing with some sort of very real personal conflict. So in that regard, I hope he's okay. This is his first fight in 18 months, Aaron Pico. So it's been a little bit of a delay, naturally so, right? Because he's from Bellator, so, right, that kind of explains it. And knockouts are where he lives. So 69% of his wins, but also 75% of his losses. Which is maybe why Lerone Murphy feels like... Because again, Lerone is not an ego guy. Like, I feel like he says it in the most polite way possible when he says that he's vowing to get... the finish, i.e. knockout in Lerone's case. He's not trying to actually say anything bad about Aaron, but I feel like in the back of his mind, because Lerone is a film study, okay? He's like, oh, Aaron, that's kind of maybe his weak spot. And the thing about Aaron is that in general, this is interesting about Aaron. So these are his own words, right? He prefers a 5-round fight, even though he rarely ever goes to decision. So kind of an interesting mindset of Aaron. I feel like that's the wrestler in him, right? He likes to turn it up as the fight goes on, and he's very aware of the great expectations that he has for him right now. Okay, a lot of people, we like to sit there with our popcorn and think, oh, he doesn't have what it takes to fight with the guys in the top 15 in the UFC, and that is TBD. That is TBD. He's aware that a lot of people are thinking that is the case. He's been working with Hamzat, so that's fun, right? Doing a little wrestling buddies. And he's pretty genuine. He's got good vibes. He's a horse guy. We got another horse guy on the card. And Aaron is probably going to be the best dressed at press conference, et cetera, because he actually takes the whole suit thing really seriously. It's like a really big interest of his. This is a great co-main. It's really great. There's a lot of drama, obviously, with there being a debut, a star in a different promotion, but also because the Ro Murphy. I mean, he is shining. He's shining so bright, but it would be, so that's why it would really be drama if Aaron can pull this off. If Aaron can actually, like, outdo Lerole Murphy, then he is in the conversation for, honestly, like, it will always belt next, right? It's just because the featherweight division is a little cuckoo crazy right now. It's a little cuckoo crazy, but that would be probably the biggest statement I think that could be made on the card potentially, is if Aaron Pico gets the win here. But Lerole Murphy, he's a toughie. He's a toughie, and he can't be taken down to stay. If you take him down, he's not staying there. That leads us to one of the most anticipated fights of the year. It is maybe even your most anticipated fight. Let me know, because I think this is a lot of people's most anticipated fight of 2025. Dricus du Plessis is trying to defend his belt for a third time against Khamzat the Boogeyman Chimaev. And for our last Chicago fun fact is, if you didn't know, the world's first skyscraper, the home insurance company, that's not a great name, was designed by Major William Lee Baron Jenney, and that was built here in Chicago, and Chicago is one of the first cities in that regard, but the first skyscraper in the whole world. Dricus still knocks du Plessis. Oh, Dricus. He is undefeated in the UFC. How about that? How about that? 9 fights, too. I mean, there's a lot of people on this card who have not had an easy road to the top. There are some who maybe have had a little bit. I mean, Aaron Pico's getting his shot right away. But anyway, yes, he is someone who had a tough road, I think based on a lot of reasons. It's been a slow climb for old Dricus. And he's coming off of what was one of the most destructive revenge of the split decision. It's hard. It's very rare that we see that, where we see a fight, a rematch that was booked under the circumstances of the first one being a split, have it be so one-sided the second time around. Like, that was so one-sided. Oh my gosh, Sean Strickland looked confused, and Dricus looked resistant to confusion, as you are when you're Dricus du Plessis. So he's on an 11-fight win streak. Okay? This is the third title defense. If he defends it successfully, that'll be 3. That's massive, especially for middleweights. That's crazy. I mean, the legendary, right? Man, it feels like just but a blink ago it was Izzy who was our hero, and before that it was Knuckles, and they ruled the world together. Okay, anyway. There's a bit of nose surgery drama. So I'm sure you know that about Dricus, is he had to get some nose surgery to breathe a little bit better. And in his mind, that was the last missing piece, really, of getting the physical affairs in order. Like, he's learning still, as he said, everyone's always learning, lifelong learner. But as far as things holding him back, as we know, the Dricus combination is chaos, heart, and durability, all mixed into one. And I think that is kind of like the Michael Chandler work ethic. So Michael Chandler and Dricus du Plessis, they really kind of remind me of each other, both in their crazy blitzful style of fighting, like they're just blitz, but they actually do have the heart and the durability to match that chaos for sure. Like, the work ethic that they express is really deep. Michael Chandler, come on, right? He's got some of the best work ethic out of anybody who does martial arts in any capacity. Never gonna miss weight, stuff like that. Dricus is effectively awkward, right? That's, I think, how we've lovingly learned to describe him. And he really wanted this fight. Dricus is not someone who's needs to be, like, he doesn't want the fight that's going to be, easy or necessarily, like, strategic. He wants to prove that he's the best. And I feel like I actually really feel that from him. He doesn't want to create this illusion that he's the best or create the story that he's the best. He wants to prove it to the best of his ability. Tie up all of the loose ends. And I'm very, very proud of him because he has been embracing Chicago. Dricus du Plessis is out here on the streets. He's out here going to baseball games. He's a Cubs fan now. Love that. He's a Cubs fan because he fell in love with baseball, as many of us do when we watch a game at Wrigley Field, okay? He fell in love. He's loving the baseball. He's loving Chicago. Yes. Kind of showing up, I feel like, a little bit of his not really, a little bit of the softer side, because the truth about Drake is he is kind of a menace. Okay, that's why we have Gary, right? Pokemon legend. We know Gary. Okay, Gary is not a villain in Pokemon. Yes, he's a rival to Ash. Yes, he's a rival. And yes, he's sassy. And yes, he is rude. But he's not a villain. And that's Dracus du Plessis. I think that it's easy to, call him the heel, the bad guy sometimes, because he's sassy as heck. Okay, one time, he tweeted at Bilal, nice fight, just kidding, LOL, like, not even, we're not even in the same way. Where's that coming from, right? He can be a bit of a menace. But he's not a villain. He's really not. He also absorbs as much as he throws. That's like menace vibes in my mind. Like when you're taking as much damage as you're putting on, that is a menace. That is one menace I've ever seen one. And you kind of get this vibe that he's never had a job. Handsome, never had a job. And he's going against Khamzat Chimaev, who is number 3 at this point. It's kind of a very different career in terms of the UFC. So he's 8-0, right? So we're 9-0, 8-0. So it seems like, we are pretty similar, but we've had some weird... So both guys joined the UFC at the same time, essentially. And both of them have amassed similar records, though Khamzat has been a little bit sparse in competing due to a handful of issues. We know he's a freestyle wrestler. Choky, right? And kind of his style is that blitz destruction, but it's kind of combined with a bit of decision fatigue, which is unfortunate. We have seen that. He's coming off of a very speedy draw-breaking finish over Bobby Knuckles. That was wild. Okay, that was wild. And he's only fought 5 times since 2020, so that puts us around just a fight a year. So, again, there's a lot of things that are at play with that, but it means that it's really important to revisit, because that's a lot of time to pass, and I feel like kind of like affect our assessment of him as a fighter. I think it's really important to take a look, especially into those 2 fights where he was put through a bit of adversity, when he went against Kamaru Usman and then when he went against Gilbert Burns. I think there's a lot of really important data in that fight, and this is going to be his first ever 5-round fight. That sentence where I wrote, this is his first round 5th, where... You know what that's supposed to say. It's supposed to say this is his first 5-round fight. Khamzat, he's very famous for his, scary look. People call it scary look in his eyes. I actually think it's thoughtful. I know you're like, what are you talking about, crazy lady? Takes one to know one, right? But Khamzat Chimaev, I think, comes across scarier to people than he actually is. He's not really scary. He's deep. The emotions they're kind of difficult to encapsulate, though. Can't really explain. But you can just tell his soul has a lot of oceanic depth. Like, there's just a lot happening. And when he's talking, you can get the sense that he's a very reflective person. He's also very funny, which I feel like requires a lot of wisdom. And he's another horse guy. Okay, we got so many horse guys because horses are awesome. So cute. And, it's been weird, right? It's been weird. I think the weirdest moment in Khamzat's career is when he was supposed to fight Nate Diaz, right? Why did the UFC do that? Well, the MMA gods got in the way, and they said that's not appropriate, and they canceled it. But it's because he had a frightening weight miss of over 7 pounds. I mean, again, the doctor told him you shouldn't be cutting weight anymore. So it's not like he defiantly did that, but he kind of talked that in that way when he was saying stuff about it not mattering. It's just really weird. Just really, really, really weird. This fight is going to be weird. This fight is going to be awesome, though. It's going to be the best. Dracus is finally, I feel like, getting the earned respect for his style that is very unconventional, but maybe it's just something that we don't understand yet completely. I do think it has a lot of Michael Chandler elements, and, well, Michael Chandler has had mixed success, though. Something special and different about Dracus. Something that not like we've really seen before. And it's fun to see. It's fun to see that crazy energy really make it, but it is that work ethic. He's very professional. He's very, very professional. And Khamzat, unfortunately, has had, I guess in a way, the unprofessional moment with the weight miss. But aside from that, just a very different performance. Khamzat, when we look into the Kamaru Usman fight, he had a lot of adversity on the feet. I mean, Kamaru Usman came in on 2 weeks' notice as well. Okay, sure, we're aware, but it's important to know that. It's easy to forget when years have gone by. Came in on just 2 weeks' notice and still was able to match and, in a sense, outpace on the feet. But at the same time, so there was that, I'd say, pretty massive weakness exposed. That it was like, oh, he really can't deal very well with Kamaru Usman. He showed heart at the end, like they both, they showed heart, but it was clear Kamaru Usman was very ahead of him in terms of his ability on the feet. But shockingly, Khamzat was very dominant on the ground, and that is shocking because it's Kamaru Usman. You don't bully Kamaru Usman on the ground, like you really don't, and so he deserves that credit. But I think that the skepticism has to come a little bit as well. Maybe that's a little too harsh. But it's important, I feel like, to acknowledge that there was a huge, I feel like, difference in the skill set on the feet. And specifically because Dracus, he has such a heavy, full pace. Like, his pace is so insane. And Khamzat, we've seen him kind of wane. And we've never seen him in a 5-round fight. That's huge. So that just makes it all the more exciting. Because imagine if he did come out and this fight went 5 rounds and Khamzat managed to get the win. Like, that would be, I don't think people are expecting that. I think kind of the talk is that if this fight goes to decision, that it's in Dracus's favor because he's proven to have that pace, that energy, that output, and that if it finishes, it's in Khamzat's favor, whatever have you, because he's a blitzer. He's gotten a lot of really shocking finishes. I mean, when he broke Bobby's face, it was so quick. It was like, holy cow. And he has a lot of that, and that's translated into his 6 performance of the night bonuses. So it's just it's so exciting in that way. It feels like there are so many variables. It's like one of those fights where we think we know what's going to happen. We think if it gets finished quickly, it's Khamzat, choking out DDP, but that doesn't sound right to me because, DDP actually, most of his wins are via submission. I just think it's going to be full of adversity. And if I am being honest, I think I am on the DDP's, I guess, on his side. Oh, I can't because he's Gary. I can't because he's the heel. And I feel like I resonate with Khamzat. Like, again, takes one to know one. I feel him and his soul I resonate with a little bit more maybe. But I just think Dracus is really a complete MMA fighter. And he's still getting talked about as though he's overly awkward, but he's effectively awkward. It's really effective and it's on purpose. I don't think that he doesn't know what he's doing. That's like who he likes to be, and he's becoming one of my favorite fighters, to be honest, Dracus. And yeah, it's gonna be crazy. This is so crazy, and it's so crazy that it's in Chicago. Okay, it's a little bit out of my budget, but I'm gonna be checking the day of just in case. Okay, just in case somebody wants to sell their ticket for a reasonable price. Okay, and again, we got the Lincoln Park on because Lincoln Park was here last night, and I think with that being the case, it's pretty appropriate that we have Lincoln Park for our song of the week, even though they're not from here. I'm going to do One Step Closer because the lead vocalist of Rise Against, that is a Chicago band, came out and made an appearance for that song at the concert. That was cool. Let me know your thoughts about everything UFC 319 Chicago related to. Just let me know everything. I want to know. Love everyone's comments. So much fun. This is going to be so crazy. There's I could talk for probably 3 hours. Okay, we could pull a Sure Dog and we can make a whole 3-hour stream. I'm trying to keep it a little bit concise because there's just so much to unpack here. This is definitely one of the most anticipated main events. It's got the potential to be one of the best of the year. So much craziness. The story of the boogeyman. Khamzat still undefeated, right? But both are still undefeated in the UFC. Isn't that crazy, right? Somebody is going to be handed their first UFC loss. Oh my god. Crazy. So, yeah, that's all I got. Oh, sorry, there's a caveat. We do have 2 songs of the week. This is the other one. Okay, Drake and Josh. We're Drake and Josh fans, right? And we found a way. We found a way to get Khamzat into this country. And to get him fighting on this soil, and it's all in Chicago. So we got 2 songs of the week. One of them's a little secret one. And that's all I got. Peace out. I know you all love musical comedy. Okay? Just like me. So, here's a throwback for all the Drake and Josh fans. Remixed for UFC 319. Just dropped. Okay, just dropped. This hot remix. I never thought that it'd be so simple, but Chimaev's here in the USA. I never thought DDP would be champion, but maybe he is here to stay. If you open up the cage, it's gonna take some time, a 5-round fight. That's right. But if you look inside, I'm sure you'll find over your shoulder, Dana told you he'd always be picking you up when you're down. So just turn around. Let's change that last verse, actually. We don't want to give Dana too much credit. Over his shoulder, Dana told you Chicago, we're coming all down. So just turn around. A little throwback, right? Let me know if you want another UFC remix, because I got plenty.